First of all, I'm not going to play this, and I won't do a Theresa May kind of entrance either. So where do I start? Man Club, well, the original story, I'm a massage therapist, my day job, and I had a client who I was spending a fair bit of time with, and she spoke to me about a friend of hers, a chap named Rob, who basically just needed someone to chat to. Not necessarily on a professional level, but just a man-to-man, human contact type of context. So I said, yeah, absolutely. You know, I finish work in the evenings, come in, have a chat, and we'll see where it goes. And that was how I met Rob. And he was coming to see me for about 5-6 weeks, that sort of period of time. And all we did, I just created some space, and he just talked about what he was going through. And I just listened. And we kept in contact, and we became friends. As we approached sort of 5 or 6 weeks of this, something started to really happen. He started to feel better. And we sort of sat there and we were like, well, what have we really done? It was just talking. And that then went a little bit further. We came up with the idea of perhaps this could run on a bigger level. Maybe we could have, you know, a group of guys that could actually talk to each other instead of the usual 10 pints first. And that was where it all began. Well, there was a little bit of a stopgap, because my mind then became pretty muddled with where am I going to go from here? And it was almost too much. It was about 6 months I spent talking to different people, trying to gather ideas, premises, and in the end it was overwhelming. And it got a bit put to the side. And then there was one night, I just finished work and I received a text from a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. And he's gone through some pretty tough stuff. And he just messaged me and said, Phil, do you want to come to the cinema this Thursday and get together? And I realised, I thought, I don't know if I've got time actually, work and everything. And then it was like this light bulb moment where I thought, actually, forget everything else. What really matters is just having that special time, that space with each other. So I texted him back and I said, you know, what mentioned to you a little while ago about this idea of Man Club. Sod it, come round tomorrow, clear my diary, we'll just go ahead and do it. And so it was only the two of us in my living room at home, and we went through the process. We just talked. It's gone on since then. We've now got an actual premises at Guernsey Mind. Men can come from any background. It's completely open. You can come to one man club, you can come to several, it's entirely up to you. What I've done for this talk really is to gather as much testimonial, I'd say, or information from the chaps within Man Club, because they are what makes Man Club. And that's really important to remember. So first of all, Richard was coming back from Ibiza at the time, looking for some work to do with men. We hooked up. I'll let you see in his own words, of what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Richard, and I'm making this little video for Phil, who's asked me to put a few words in a few minutes together to talk about Man Club. Now, my involvement in Man Club started about a year ago, and I came across a Facebook page because I was actually looking for something to get involved to help guys out. And I came across a Facebook page which just said Man Club Guernsey. There wasn't much information, and there was just a telephone number or a contact to contact Phil. So I contacted Phil. I'd never met Phil before, and he said to me, "Yeah, basically we got this idea. We want to make a space for guys to come and talk." And that was the idea at the time. And I said, okay, and I'll get on board, and we met and have a coffee, and I wanted to do what I could to help out. He explained the concept to me at the time, which was we were going to meet on Tuesday night, and this was in winter. We're going to meet on Tuesday night in a car park, and in a dark car park and meet a load of guys, and we were going to go to somebody's house, and I thought that sounded quite dodgy at the time. But the reality was, what Phil was doing was opening his own home to people that needed help. And we went and stood in these car parks on a Tuesday night, and we were not sure whether anybody was going to turn up or not. We didn't care. We just wanted there to be a space that was being created for guys to come and talk. And from those nights of going and sitting in Phil's house and meeting in dodgy car parks in the middle of winter, a year later, this has grown. And it struck me last week when I was at a Man Club meeting that we now got a permanent premises, a permanent home, which is at the Lions Mind Centre, Guernsey Mind Centre. We meet once a month, but there's, a kind of, Phil's rolled out a kind of blueprint, so other people can have their own kind of meetings. But there's been some ups and downs and some highs and lows. There's been definitely some sadness, some sadness, but also some happiness and laughs along the way. But what's been astonishing and astonished me is what guys have shared about what they're going through and how there's been a space created for them to be able to just come and sit and talk, or just listen, and to meet with other guys that are going through the same thing. Things have changed so much. I think Man Club now's got a lot more public, a lot more. It's been noticed a lot more. The Facebook page is definitely getting people hitting it every week. And I thought I'd come down here today, this evening, because I'm just in Havelock Bay. Because one of the little spin-offs, and this is the impact, one of the little spin-offs that's happened from Man Club is that once every week we come down here and have a little swim on a Thursday morning. We call it Numb Nuts Thursday for the obvious reasons. But there's just things being generated and other things that are happening, and it's just guys getting together and having a bit of a laugh and releasing a bit of energy and releasing a bit of emotion. And that's what Man Club is all about, and it's amazing, and it's going to go so far. It's a pleasure to be part of it, and it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking today and making a little video that hopefully will reach some more people to get involved. So that's enough from me, and go over to the Man Club Facebook page, or come down to Numb Nuts Thursday for a swim on Thursday mornings. Okay, see you there. Bye.
Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Bray. And as Richard rightly puts it, we created that space, and of course now we're at Guernsey Mind. To give you a little bit of a background about the core fundamental of what works in Man Club, is a Native American cultural tradition of using a talking stick. We happen to use this didgeridoo. What I'd like to really impress upon you is that this is the most powerful object I've ever come across. This can empower anyone to have their truth, to have their say. And while you hold this, nobody in the room can interrupt you. The power of that is phenomenal, because so often we don't allow each other that space. So often we interrupt, we relate it into our own lives. And with guys, who traditionally we're not great at talking, this has proven immensely powerful. I think, without of course giving any names away or anything, I've seen situations where we've had some guys come in with immense anger, where they've been fighting for a long time. And there's always been that magic space of seeing a guy who's so used to having opposition or having to fight his way through. He gets to the end of his talk and suddenly he looks up and there's nothing there, just support, non-judgmental compassion. And that's magic, because suddenly there's this whole road opens up, this whole space to fill. So, I won't rattle on anymore, because there's another video from our good friend here, Ben. He's 20 years old. His story, I think it brought all of us to tears at times, because his transformation, his journey, is just unbelievable. I'll let him talk in his own words. He's a good friend.
My name's Ben, I'm 20 years old, and I've been going to Man Club meetings since March this year. So I'm going to go through a series of questions, and I've also got a whooping cough, so I apologise in advance. So, best thing about Man Club. I'd say the best thing about Man Club is it's hard to pinpoint one thing because there's lots of things, but it's the fact people listen. People need to do more of that. And that's what helped me. I went with issues of anxiety and depression, and the fact a group of guys would just sit and listen to me was really powerful. You know, you can't really compare to it. That's, I'd say, why it helped, because people were listening. They weren't offering judgment. It was all confidential. Anything I said stayed within that group, and, you know, the camaraderie. You know, knowing I'd be going to meetings, a group of guys that are going through the similar things, but we're all in it together, you know, that's what really helped. So what problems do we face as men in Guernsey? Yeah, one of them is people don't listen. And they advise, and they say, you're a man, you shouldn't be going through this. Stiff upper lip, you're not depressed, you're sad, you know, sort it out. You know, there's no one-way cure to things like depression. There's no one-way cure to things like anxiety, bereavement, PTSD. Because if there was, you know, we wouldn't be having these issues. You know, and listening is a key part in that. Giving someone the chance to sit there and tell their truth, and not judging them is what's going to get over these problems. So this leads me on to my next point as to why the suicide rate is so high in Guernsey. I'm going to emphasise again, listening. People aren't listening. People aren't listening and seeing what works. Things like Man Club, the charity SMS, you know, these groups, what we're doing right now, you know, the Thrive2020, things like this, we need more of it, and it needs to be spread around. People need to be hearing us out and realising that this is what's going to change the suicide rate in Guernsey, because it is a taboo subject and it can't be like that anymore. We need to address it, and things like this are going to help. So, yeah. Expanding on the point of the Man Club meetings, you know, I went in and I was at a very low point when I went in, and through the help of the guys, I've got to the stage now where I can help facilitate meetings, and that for me is profound. You know, the fact I can go in and help other people as well, you know, and help them realise that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the fact that it's a non-judgment area, and I've made so many friends through this, you know. Huge thank you to Phil, Surry, and Richard Clark and Dan White. You know, these are guys that I consider very, very close friends, and it's through Man Club that I met them, you know. Through Man Club that I heard about the Mo Foundation, which is being spoke about today as well, you know. It's been profound. But yeah, I'm going to be about, guys, so if anyone wants me to expand on anything, just come and chat to me. I'll be about. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. I've also got some written testimony as well from some of the guys that are willing to give their names as well. This is from John. He sent me this message just a few days ago. Morning, my friend. I wanted to write something which you may find of use for your upcoming talk. 7 years ago this coming week, I walked into the sea at Vazon as I wanted to end my life. I felt like I was drowning, so I decided to do so to bring an end to my suffering. I could see no way forward, and everything that I'd worked for had been taken away from me. However, I did not die. I was taken to hospital suffering from hypothermia, and then admitted to the Catel Hospital, where I stayed for 7 weeks. My overwhelming memory is of being trapped behind a sheet of glass, screaming at the top of my lungs for help, and no one was there to see or hear me. I've no idea why I'm alive, other than God said that he wasn't ready for me yet. I've had 5 years of struggle climbing out of the dark place, and 2 more feeling more comfortable within myself. I still have dark moments, but they don't last so long now. Man Club has helped me greatly, as it's given me the chance to learn more, and where possible use my own experiences to say something positive to the other guys. The only downside is that it only meets for a few hours, 1 day a month. That's from John. Now he's put there as well that it only is 1 day every month, and I agree, it's a long time to go. And the future for Man Club, and not just for men, is to take forward this talking stick, this item here, It could be any item. It could be a napkin in a pub. It could be a pen in a workplace if you need it. And to bring this into our society, giving each other that time, that space that we can share so that people can actually talk and be listened to. Got one more here as well from Marcus, who sent this to me this morning. Hi Phil, sorry it's a bit late. I'll just give you a short testimonial regarding Man Club. You're welcome to use my first name. I was made aware of Man Club over a year ago. I've been going through a very rough time in my personal life, mainly brought about by some traumatic experiences in my childhood. This had led to feelings of low self-esteem and depression. It was actually my wife that discovered Man Club and would gently try to nudge me in the direction, but I'd always find an excuse not to go. Almost roughly 9 months had passed until I finally plucked up the courage to walk through the doors of Man Club. My fears were completely unfounded, as I was made to feel hugely welcome by everyone that I met. I now go as often as I can, mainly to listen, but also to give feedback and to give my story too. It's a place of safety for guys who want to talk without being judged and in total confidentiality. It has definitely helped me on my road to recovery. So once again, that from Marcus, I really wanted to include as well, because the fear for guys actually walking through the door is the toughest step. And we've all agreed on that. Once you're there, that just vanishes, because you know everyone is in the same place. We're all there to support and care for one another. I think guys are pretty funny creatures at times. And I think even in the darkest of moments and the stories, I don't know where it's come from, but we have found the most incredible humour. And when I talk about laughs, I mean belly laughs, like tears and laughter together. It's a phenomenal release when you combine them. We lost a member of Man Club about a month ago. He took his life. And that really hurt us all. It really was tough. But the one thing I would say, it brought us together like never before, like brothers. And I think that's beautiful. And if something that came out of that, I would say it's that brotherhood. And I think we want to spread that across the world. I'd like to read a poem just to finish, called Brotherhood. The crest and crowning of all good, life's final star is brotherhood. For it will bring again to earth her long-lost poesy and mirth, will send new light on every face, a kingly power upon the race. Until it come, we men are slaves, and travel downward to the dust of graves. Come and clear the way then, clear the way. Blind creeds and kings have had their day. Break the dead branches from the path. Our hope is the aftermath. Our hope is in heroic men, star-led to build the world again. Make way for brotherhood. Make way for man. Thank you very much.